supposed to start this?
Today, we are in front of my music wall to do a video for my class assignment. So, you're under no obligation to watch this. However, if you're Miss V, you are, I think. I don't know if she's gonna read the script or watch the video. It's for my final, so, give me a good grade. Our story starts in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with a lady named Maddie Delashaw Baker and a musician named John Lewis Nelson. John was the leader of a band called the Prince Rogers Trio, a jazz group that played on the north side of the area. One day, when John was playing, fine shit Maddie was in the crowd. He invited her up on stage to sing, and the two of them fell in love. They were married on August 31st, 1957, and 1 year later, they welcomed in Prince Rogers Nelson. Imagine rock, LSD, sex, and disco were morphed into one music genre. Wow. That's how I describe Prince. His style of music was so unique and so great, and I love it very much, and I like to talk about it. So here's a run through of Mr. Prince Rogers Nelson, a musician who made waves in the 1980s. Growing up in Minnesota, Prince was nicknamed Skipper, and he was surrounded by music throughout his childhood. The sound of his father's piano filled his home, and he was enraptured by it. But when his parents divorced at 7, Prince felt that jarring shift, and once his daddy left, it gave him the courage to finally pick up the keys for himself. He started with simple tunes and theme songs, but there was no way for them to know how awesome of a musician he'd be in just a few years. Prince's instability in the home only got worse when his mom remarried a man named Hayward Baker, and he had trouble readjusting to everything changing. He spent a lot of his time bouncing between his aunt in South Minneapolis and his dad in North Minneapolis. But in the beginning of 7th grade, 1973, Prince met Andre Simone, a fellow musician who'd later become a very close friend of his throughout his career. Andre's family played a huge role in Prince's life, and he later moved in with them. Bernadette, Andre's mother, helped keep Prince in school, and she was known as Queen Bernie in her neighborhood. What a queen! Prince attended Central High School, and in sophomore year, he quit basketball to focus on his music career. He didn't want to join the school band or take formal lessons, so his teachers let him work on his own. He listened to the radio, and that's where a big majority of his music education in his teenage years came from, which I think it's pretty cool that he was self-taught. It's pretty freaking cool, pretty freaking talented. And now enter Prince's music career. His first band was called Grand Central. It was formed in 1971. Andre Simone was the bassist. Prince's second cousin Charles Smith was on the drums, and Prince was the keyboard and guitarist. At first they didn't have a name, but when percussionist Terry Jackson joined, they started experimenting with band names. At first they named themselves Charles, Cousin, and Friends, and then Phoenix, and then Sex Machine. But finally they settled on Grand Central after the band Grand Funk Railroad and the high school they went to, Central High School. Andre's sister Linda joined and took over the keyboard, and then William Daughtry joined as a percussionist. With their band formed, they practiced at Terry Jackson's house and performed locally at community events and school dances. That is until late 74, when Morris Day joined, that they got a manager, Morris's mom, and they sang as a cover band. Prince, Andre, and Morris recorded some songs at ASI Studios in early 76, and the band name was changed to Champagne, except Champagne was spelled with an S because that's cool. So, Champagne the band. Gotta be honest, the name Champagne isn't that much better than Sex Machine. I liked Grand Central a lot more, I think. I don't know, it doesn't matter, because Prince left. Prince quit the band. So Prince finished high school, left Champagne, saved up some cash, got recording sessions, and then left on the soonest plane to New York City. He skedaddled out of Minneapolis. He left with his half-sister, Sharon Nelson, but he didn't stay long because producer Chris Moon found his song Soft and Wet in 1978 and showed it to Owen Husney, and his interest was piqued. By the way, I love Soft and Wet. That song is so good. I was immediately struck that this was something different. I turned to Chris and said, "So, who's the band here?" And he said, "Well, Owen, it's not really a band." And I thought, oh no, it's a bunch of studio musicians, because I don't really want to work with studio musicians. They can't tour. And he said, "No, it's not a studio band. It's one kid. He just turned 18 and he's singing everything and playing all the instruments." That's a quote by Owen Husney. After only 1 week, Prince was right back on the flight back up to Minneapolis to sign a contract with Husney. He got an apartment uptown. He spent his evenings jamming at Husney's house, and after a bit, he had managed to get a meeting in LA with Warner Brothers A&M and Columbia. All three of the labels wanted to sign him, but Prince struck up the best deal with Warner Brothers, which is gonna prove to be a bit of a problem later on. But for now, you know, it's kickstarting his career. He's gonna become Prince. It's gonna be freaking awesome. It's gonna be so awesome because he's Prince. He's awesome. It was a 3-album deal, the largest in modern rock history, and in his meeting with Warner Brothers, he wrote them a song titled, "I Hope We Work It Out," because if you can't find the words, you might as well sing them. He convinced Warner Brothers to let him record and produce all the instruments on his debut album, For You, by himself, because he's just an independent king like that. Prince, more like king, because he's a king. You get it? It took him 2 months of recording in California to complete his debut, and it came to market in '78. His first performance was in Capri Theater, North Minneapolis, and he was joined by Andre Simone, Bobby Z, Gail Chapman, Matt Fink, and Des Dickerson. So then he started a band called Revolution, and it created one of the best-known Prince pieces, Purple Rain, in 1984, and it was accompanied by a $70 million box office movie, also called Purple Rain. This film won an Academy Award for Best Original Song. Of course it did. And the title track got number 2 on Billboard's Top 100. So, Purple Rain was a banger. Prince did have his controversies, though. Darling Nikki was played by the Senator Al Gore's daughter, and his wife overheard the promiscuous lyrics and was like, "This song is so foul!" and pushed sports magazines to warn parents, "Don't let your kids listen to Prince. He's singing about sex and sex and oh." Of course, rock artists run into that problem. They always do. But whatever. Prince was a success. He didn't give a gaff about no senators. Okay, he was like success. He was a music machine, and he didn't have much intention of stopping. He ran into more controversy regarding his vulgar lyrics in 1981. His songs featured a lot of sexual fantasies and graphic materials, and boomers did not like that. They did not like Prince's sexy little music. They were not happy with it. Could never understand why. Who would not want their 15-year-old daughters listening to rock music? Who wouldn't want that? So, you know, he wasn't the tamest of rock artists. I mean, these boomers were coming out of the Beatles generation. I don't blame them. The Beatles wrote some sappy stuff when they were growing up. I Wanna Hold Your Hand does not sound anything like Prince's Cream. Two very different genres of music. They carry the same message of, like, being a new genre, and back in the day, the Beatles were controversial for their material too. People were like, the girls are obsessed with the Beatles, you know? It's the same thing with Prince. It's just the time has changed or whatever. Now people get up in arms about rap music. It's times change and new music comes along and boomers always have something to say about it. But I digress. It's raining outside. It's so nice. I love the sound of the rain. I don't know if you can hear it. Pitter patter. So Revolution disbanded in 1986, and Prince had the chance to work on a bunch of shelved projects. A lot of his upcoming songs featured commentary on social issues, but he still had his sex machine music, you know? He was singing about stuff that, like, mattered, but he was also, you know, singing about sex, because, like, who doesn't want to do that, right? No, Prince's music was phenomenal, and, it's great. It was great music. He worked in the film industry during this time too. Prince's music featured on the soundtrack of Batman in 1989, and he released a sequel to Purple Rain called Graffiti Bridge. Graffiti Bridge flopped though. But it was the songs were bangers, so that's what matters. In 1992, Prince signed a $100 million record deal with Warner Brothers, which is the largest publishing contract in history. For context, Michael Jackson and Madonna both signed $60 million contracts. So that was crazy. Large ass contract, I guess. We shouldn't curse. This is for a school assignment. My bad. I think I'm old enough to say the word ass on YouTube. I think I've crossed that bridge with my content, but I can finally say one bad word. I've been allowed one bad word. Don't deduct points for that, please, Miss V. Yeah, so this guy was making business boo. Except he wasn't, because in his new band, New Power Generation, he released a studio album called Love Symbol, and this did not do as well as it normally would have. Warner Brothers were having a little bit of tension, a little bit of trouble in paradise. Prince felt really controlled by the label, and he was actually ahead of his time in more than just his music, because before Elon Musk could even think about it, Prince named himself this: O parentheses addition and greater than symbol. It's not pronounceable, but it's what he chose to go by. I love my king though. You know, you gotta respect the game. It's always the celebrities. He went by this name till 2000, and people referred to him as the artist formerly known as Prince. Whatever, apart from being an inspiration for Elon Musk, Prince hated his label. Warner Brothers, he hated it. He would make public appearances with the word slave drawn on his face just to show how like controlled he felt by his label. After a gold experience, Warner Brothers let him go. They did not want, parentheses, addition greater than symbol, walking around with slave on his face under their name. He finally was let go, which is a win. A win for him. A win for all of us, because his life starts to get real good after this. He was on the down low for a bit, but in 2004, Prince performed at the Grammys with Beyonce. Everyone thank Beyonce. And was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and released Musicology on tour. And then he performed in the 2007 Super Bowl halftime. So, win after win. Win after win. In 2010, Billboard said that he was the greatest Super Bowl halftime performer ever. Got in Times Magazine as the top 100 most influential people. Got a Lifetime Achievement from BET Awards and was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. All in 2010. So, the early 2000s were pretty good for my boy Prince. Life was going good. Until it wasn't. April 21st, 2016, Prince was found dead in Paisley Park compound, Minnesota. He died. Prince is dead. You guys know that? I didn't know that, actually. I thought Prince was just in retirement. I thought he was just living away on a little island like most musicians nowadays. Living a Zayn farm life. Like, I don't know, living in some mansion somewhere like Tommy Lee. And no, he's dead. He's 6 feet under the ground. I'm very sad about this. I'm mad I didn't know this, and I'm very sad that he's gone. Alright, so a week before his death, his plane had to make an emergency landing. They thought he had a severe flu case. They thought he overdosed on pain medication because he had hip surgery and it hurt a lot. But later autopsy reports show that it was fentanyl did it. His home in Paisley Park was turned into a museum in October 2016. Before he died, he was actually working on a memoir called Beautiful Ones, but was unable to complete it. His editors, however, completed it for him, and the book was published along with his unfinished memoir 3 years later. He didn't have that long to work on it, just a few months before he died. The book has been completed. I've not read it. I want to, but I should read it. I should read his memoir. I'd like to close off with something Prince said to MTV in 1985. I think it's reminiscent of the time he grew up in and what he stands for as a musician, so I wanted to include it. I was brought up in a black and white world. Yes, black and white. Night and day, rich and poor. Black and white. I listened to all kinds of music when I was young. And when I was younger, I always said that one day I was going to play all kinds of music and not be judged for the color of my skin, but the quality of my work. And hopefully that will continue. I think he did a pretty good job of that. I mean, I think he got his goal. Because I love Prince. All my homies love Prince. Everyone loves Prince. Who doesn't love Prince? Boomers in the 80s didn't love Prince, but you know, whatever. Everyone who matters loved Prince. No, I'm kidding. Boomers matter. Boomers matter. Not if you're dissing Prince, though. Get out of here. Get out of here. Don't diss my boy Prince. Thanks for watching. All my links to my sources and images are in the description of the video. Miss V. They're all in the description of the video. I had nothing else to say. That's where my notes end regarding Prince. Time to spend hours editing this. It's due tomorrow. I'm filming this the day before. I have to edit this whole video in like 12 hours. No, I'm kind of scared. I'll do it for Prince though.